In today's video, I'll be redesigning famous Mario enemies to fit the naturalistic and alien world of Pikmin. Not only will I create sketches of my ideas, I'll also create fully designed concept art pieces showing the creatures in action. Unlike my previous enemy design videos, this installment is extra special since it's a crossover episode. With that being said, this video will be in its own category and our playlist on my channel. Since nobody knew that I would be redesigning Mario enemies into Pikmin enemies prior to uploading this, I won't be featuring a subscriber's enemy idea. However, I plan on turning this into a series if it does well, so please leave your suggestions for episode 2 in the comments below. With that being said, let's enjoy some cozy Nintendo art together. For the first Mario enemy of today's video, I chose, arguably, the most iconic basic enemy of the Mario franchise, the Goomba. However, my redesigned version is called the Plasmatic Vacoombra, and you'll see why. Found in dark and secluded caves, the idle phase of the Plasmatic Vacoombra is in motion. It calmly strides around open areas, glittering the atmosphere around it with sparkled plasma balls, having a similar color scheme and mushroom-like appearance to its Goomba counterpart. The Plasmatic Vacoombra is a close relative to the puffstool family. As you can see, the creature lacks any clear facial features, apart from two antenna-like eye stalks atop its head, which provide a small glow to its close surroundings. You may be wondering what makes this enemy so special. It just looks like a Goomba with no face, sparkly spots, and antennas. And to that I say, okay, I can kind of see why you think that right now, but you know what? Please keep watching because I promise it gets more interesting. The second phase of the Plasmatic Vacoombra is gravitational. Literally, when nearing your squad, the enemy unveils its unique attack. As its body is mostly made up of flowy plasma, the Vacoombra wiggles and jiggles as it moves around. Naturally, it can also extend its anatomy with ease. Once within close proximity of its prey, the creature will swiftly elongate its torso and flip skyward its head-like appendage. Beneath the enemy's flappy frame shines a bright yellow light, which illuminates a small area on the floor. Any Pikmin standing present within that radius are vulnerable to the Vacoombra's vacuum move. With an alien whale, the Vacoombra's head will rotate horizontally while suctioning the floor beneath it, like a mushroom flying saucer of sorts. The enemy has no cap to the amount of Pikmin it can suck up. However, its inhalation only lasts for about 3 seconds, so it's not too hard to evade. But the tricks don't stop here. The Vacoombra has another interesting ability. After inhaling your Pikmin, the Plasmatic Vacoombra doesn't immediately kill them. Instead, its mushroom-shaped noggin will slam downwards, trapping its prey within. Then, its amorphous body will slowly expand until completely spherical. At this point, the Vacoombra's brown coloring will begin to dissipate, becoming completely transparent. The player has a short amount of time to attack the Vacoombra in this state in order to free the Pikmin floating around in the enemy's plasma body. After 5 seconds, the small glowing plasma ball in the center of the creature's body will burn a bright yellow, and incinerate every Pikmin being held captive. Only by defeating the creature before the plasma ball burns out can the player save their Pikmin. Adversely, if the player fails to defeat the Vacoombra before it absorbs the Pikmin, the enemy will revert back to its form in phase 1 and continue walking around trying to find more potential meals. Inspirations for this enemy came from both the Puffstool and Jellyfloat families. I wanted to create a creature that has the same inhale and trap mechanic as the Jellyfloat, but one that is grounded and a little bit more deadly, as all my enemy designs usually are. Also, the Goomba itself looks awfully mushroom-like to begin with, so it just made sense to me to have the design relate to the Puffstool family. Another inspiration for this design was the plasma ball. You know, those cool looking glowing balls you can buy at arcades that zap you when you touch them? Yeah, those things. Also, obviously the biggest inspiration was the Goomba from Mario. I tried to keep the overall base appearance similar to the Goombas in order to easily identify that this redesign is the Pikmin equivalent. Though, I think by adding unique phases to the enemy, I was able to give the Plasmatic Vacoombra its own identity. Let me know your thoughts on this design below, but don't go anywhere as we still have 2 more enemies to explore. But wait, I have a very special announcement. My Patreon is officially up and running. It's been a long time in the making, but I finally feel like I have enough content to confidently start a Patreon service. What's being offered, you ask? Well, in the picturesque party tier, patrons will have access to bonus videos released in tandem with every YouTube release, unlimited 4K downloads of my concept art pieces and other not uploaded to YouTube illustrations, behind the scenes posts, their name in the credits of my YouTube videos, and more. Sounds pretty enticing, right? Well, for those of you who crave a little bit more, there's the prestigious party tier, which offers all the same benefits as the picturesque tier. However, these patrons will receive a 10% off discount to my merch store, which is always in the works and being updated. And more importantly, these patrons will be able to submit an enemy concept idea to me directly. This idea will be entered into a prestigious party members only raffle, where one winner will be chosen on a monthly basis. The winner will have their idea brought to life as one illustration by yours truly. Also, if subscription services aren't your thing, which I totally understand, 4K versions of my original art pieces are available for purchase individually on Patreon as well. The link to my site will be in the video's description. Lastly, since we're on the topic, I also activated my YouTube channel memberships. With these memberships, you'll receive some hand-drawn custom emojis. The more members I have, the more emojis YouTube will allow me to create, as well as badges that display next to your username showing that you're part of the Paracosm party. Along with these perks, members will also have their names mentioned in the credits of my YouTube videos, priority comment responses from me, and access to members-only polls to help decide the channel's content. To become a member of the Paracosm Party YouTube channel, click join next to my channel name. Thank you all so much. I know this was a lot to drop at once, but I've been in the works of making these accessible for you all for a long while, and I'm really just excited to finally have them all set up and ready. Once again, to become a patron, click the link in my description, and to become a YouTube channel member, click join on YouTube. Your support means everything. It allows me to keep creating content like this. Okay, let's move on now, shall we? The next Mario enemy I chose to Pikminify today is Piranha Plant. I love this little guy. He's been in every Mario game since the very beginning and rightfully deserved to be chosen. My redesigned version is called the Pyro Perennial. Let's get right into it. The first phase of the Pyro Perennial is static and hidden. As you can see from my drawing, at the moment, the creature appears to be just a regular old flower. I based the flower's design off the tropical plant, the hibiscus. These plants would be found attached to vines hanging above the player's walking path. When dusk falls, the pistil, the yellow inner stem of the flower, will glow a warm yellow color, brightening up its surroundings. The Pyro Perennial can be found in equatorial regions and would be right at home in the tropical wilds of Pikmin 3 or the serene shores of Pikmin 4. The circular markings on its petals are a dead giveaway to an experienced player that this plant is more than meets the eye. Let's find out how. When the player strides within a certain distance of the flower, something subtle occurs. If you look closely, the Pyro Perennial will slightly stick part of its head out of the center of the hibiscus. In this moment, the pistil, which is located within the perennial's mouth, will shift from side to side, attempting to sense your movement. If your squad stays completely still in this moment, the creature will eventually ease and retreat into its floral encasing. However, if the player continues to move, once the perennial is seeking, in a sudden motion, its full body will propel outward, aiming directly for the player. The Pyro Perennial will use its tongue-like pistil to sweep up its surroundings, catching any unfortunate Pikmin in its sticky pollen. Then, the pistil will recede, allowing the enemy to swallow all its trapped prey. This moves with intense speed and can eat multiple Pikmin at the same time, with little recovery periods needed. Much like the creeping chrysanthemum, this enemy's surprise attack can be quite deadly, yet unlike the creeping chrysanthemum, this creature has more than one way of exterminating Pikmin. If the Pyro Perennial senses the player's party outside of its reach, it has another means of defense. The enemy's pistil tongue will grow an even brighter yellow as its wisps begin to heat. With a large inhale, the perennial will exhale a scorching spiral of blazing fire from its tongue. It will sweep back and forth, similar to the Titan Dweevil's flare cannon from Pikmin 2. Notably, the Pyro Perennial's fire is withstood by both red Pikmin and your captain, and/or Ochi, if the player obtained the Scorch Guard augments. However, since the blaze is discharged at such a high speed and pressure, it will knock the active captain on the ground, paralyzing them for 1 second before the player can control them again. However, the player will not retain any damage, just a small delay in control. As stated, the red Pikmin are impervious to the creature's fire move and withstand blast with no issue. To defeat the creature, the player will have to avoid its fire attack and toss Pikmin onto its head. Landing a Pikmin on one of its protruding eyes will deal extra damage. After a small time frame, the Pyro Perennial will shake the Pikmin off, requiring the player to regroup and try again until the enemy is felled. As you can see, I kept a lot of the creature's characteristics close to the Piranha plant from Mario. However, I decided to make this enemy stationary, as in it only has a small range it can extend in all directions from its immobile flower base, as opposed to wandering like the Piranha plant can do in certain Mario titles. As mentioned, the Pyro Perennial's head shape is similar to that of the Piranha plant. Nevertheless, I believe the addition of eyes and a pistil tongue helps differentiate the two and gives the Perennial Perennial a unique appearance. Also, I took inspiration from traditional Chinese dragons when designing the body of the beast, utilizing lots of sharp frills around the face and eyes, and a long line of sharp tendrils descending the creature's stem, which really gives the enemy a dragon-like appearance. Overall, I'm quite pleased with how this redesign turned out. I love how chaotic it looks. It really embodies a ferocious, fiery foe. What do you think? Alrighty, so we're on to the final enemy of today's video. I was originally going to do 2 enemies for this installment, however, after consulting with you beautiful humans, I decided I better make a boss, so that's what I did. Also, side note before we get started, I do want to mention something I've been seeing in my comments recently. A lot of people have been saying that my boss designs, and or enemy designs in general, are too complicated, too difficult, and somewhat unfair. And to that I say, you're kinda right. To me, I've played Pikmin ever since I was a child, my first introduction to the series being Pikmin 2. I loved the difficulty of that game, and the bosses always gave me an uneasy feeling. I aim to bring that level of challenge to my designs, since it's what I prefer when playing a game. At the end of the day, I design things I wish Pikmin would do, and sometimes that's not very realistic to the current direction Nintendo's taking the games. Also, I love to dive deep into my enemies' mechanics because it makes the design process fun. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the topic. I understand my bosses are hard, long, and complicated, but it makes me happy, and if that frustrates you, I'm sorry, but I'm also gonna continue making complex enemies because it makes the process enjoyable for me. Okay, with that being said, if you're still with me, the Mario enemy I took inspiration from is Wiggler, and slightly Blooper, but we'll get into that. My version is called the Bubbled Caterbead. Let's do this. Upon entering the final floor of the Bubble Bath, the cave that would house this creature, one would fall directly into a large cylindrical room with high ceilings and a deep pool of water flooding the ground. The player and their squad would land atop a spiraling path that hugs the walls of the cavern. The Pikmin types present in this cave would be blue and winged Pikmin only. After descending the trail, the player will meet the water's edge with still no sign of danger. Only when the player decides to depart Ochi and the winged Pikmin at the surface and brave the deep waters with their squad of blues at the bottom of the pool would they find something peculiar. In the center of the sunken field flails a long pointed appendage with a glowing bubble at its tip. Inside the sphere bobs a luminous flower, not unlike that of a Pikmin. A beeping sound indicates a castaway is nearby, possibly buried beneath the sand. When the player nears the stem, they'll realize they'll need the strength of 10 Pikmin to unearth the mysterious stalk. When they succeed in uprooting the object, they won't be pleased. Springing out from the sand flies a large, segmented beast. Taking inspiration from the Wiggler, the Bubbled Caterbead is an aquatic feline boss, comprising of several connected bubbles. Its face, arms, and tail are made of cartilage, while the rest of its body is made of an unknown gelatinous substance. The same one, in fact, as the Plasmatic Vacoombra, suggesting a possible interspecies connection. Wonder what other characteristics they share. The bubbles of its torso are all connected through a stream of mysterious light, which twinkles as it swims. The Bubbled Caterbead uses its wing-like fins on each bubble to propel itself through the water. Also, its bubbled body glows the same radiant blue as the flower atop its head. The player has unknowingly unleashed the Kraken. To attack your squad, the Bubbled Caterbead has a few neat tricks. For one of its attack moves, the bubble on its head will glow an even brighter blue while sounding a muffled ring, similar to that of the captain's whistle. If within a close enough radius, the Pikmin will hear this chime and approach the beast in confusion. Once within grasp of the beast, the Caterbead will extend its mouth to an ominously wide degree. Then, it will begin to inhale all the water in front of it. As the creature vacuums up the atmosphere, it will form a few new bubbles on its body. Any Pikmin caught in the inhalation move will be sucked into the creature's chasm mouth. Next, a random bubble on the enemy's torso will glow a bright blue color. The mysterious light ball will then dull to reveal a Pikmin trapped inside. The Caterbead teleported its prey to an arbitrary prison cell. In order to free their troops, the player must throw their active squad at the bubbles encasing the trapped Pikmin. Successfully flinging a Pikmin onto one of the bubbles will result in them latching on, attacking 3 times, and popping the bubble, freeing their comrade. However simple it may seem, there's a catch. Also in a completely random order, one by one, the Caterbead's bubbles will flash a grayish blue color 2 times, and then fill with an opaque black substance. If a Pikmin is present within an altering bubble, it will perish when the sphere turns solid. Each bubble will randomly fill until all are completely black. Once the Caterbead is replete with this black substance, its eyes will invert as its mouth widens to eject a dubious amount of toxic ink. If any Pikmin are to come into contact with this ink, they will flail in panic and perish unless whistled upon by their captain. Interestingly, if the player themselves get doused in ink, their screen will become momentarily obscured, similar to the blooper effect in Mario Kart. After 5 seconds, the ink will dissipate and the HUD will return to normal. After battling the bubbled Caterbead with your squad of blue Pikmin, submerged beneath the water for some time, the boss will rise upward, attempting to evade your attacks and swim away with your captured crewmates. The terrain of this pool is similar to the above water section, having a path along the walls of a cylindrical cavern, allowing the player to ascend alongside the beast and attack it as it swims to the surface. To the player's surprise though, once the creature reaches the surface water, it won't recoil and swim downwards, but instead will use its wing-like fins and breach the pool, floating into the cavern air. Remember how Ochi and the winged Pikmin stayed above water? Well, this is their time to shine. By switching control to Ochi, or hopping upon their canine companion, the player can take aim with their winged friends at the Caterbead and attempt to pop its bubbled body. Whilst floating above water, the boss will occasionally shoot out streams of bubbles that trap your winged Pikmin and send them falling into the water, where they drown if not whistled to safety. All this sounds cool and all, but I know what you may be thinking. How do you damage this boss? Well, landing a direct hit on the face of the beast will do the trick, but if left on the creature, the Pikmin would surely be sucked into its mouth. If you haven't already guessed by now, the best way to properly damage this boss is to pop all its bubbles. Once doing so, if the bubbled Caterbead is above water, it will fall to the water's surface and float there, where you can Ochi rush it, dealing a considerable amount of damage. If the boss is below water when all its bubbles are popped, it will sink to the pool's floor, where you can send your blue Pikmin to attack it. Also, side note, when popping a bubble filled with ink, the ink will dissipate upon combustion and your Pikmin will not be frenzied. After allowing a short window of attack, the Caterbead will spring up again and form an even longer chain of bubbles. Once at half health, the beast will perform a bubble blowing move, spewing 10 or so bubbles into the water or air. If any Pikmin are caught in these bubbles, the Caterbead will connect them to its body. Ejected bubbles not containing Pikmin will pop and fade away. Also, on the boss's body, 2 bubbles at a time will blink and turn ink-filled, creating a more hectic experience. Lastly, when the creature is almost dead, instead of 2 blinking bubbles at a time, all bubbles will blink at the same time after catching Pikmin. Its last-ditch effort to defend against your Pikmin army. Once defeated, the Caterbead will sink to the pool's floor and eject a castaway. The bubbled Caterbead is no more. Well, that's been my enemies for today's video. If you have any ideas for more Mario-inspired Pikmin enemies, please leave them in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Also, once more, it would mean the world to me if you can check out my Patreon. And if you're interested, possibly becoming a channel member. The support would be immensely appreciated, as these videos take an extremely long time to ideate, draw, and edit. Much love to you all. I'm planning on hopefully releasing one more vid by the end of the month, so look forward to that. I'll see you in the next one, beautiful humans. Bye for now, Paracosm Party.